homeschoolers, it's me Jazz again from Hidden Library Homeschool, and I'm back with another homeschool video, once again bundled up in my cold homeschool room that I love, but it's definitely cold in here. I also have on my mermaid tail, which is, keep my feet nice and toasty, so hopefully I won't be shivering during this video. And also hopefully you don't hear my washing machine too loudly. It's right by the homeschool room, so I can hear it. I'm hoping it's not, you can hear it also on the video, but if you can, all the noise in the back is clothes getting cleaned. Multitasking, I guess. Anyway, I wanted to make an update video on our 2017-2018 school year, and while I know for most people that school year is long gone and are starting their new school year, and we are starting our new school year, but it did take us a lot longer to finish last school year than I had initially planned. Normally, I tried to do our 36 weeks, take a couple of weeks off, do a light summer session, and then take another couple of weeks off, and then start our new year. But we were doing school pretty late into the summer this year because we had so much going on over the school year. We had so many family emergencies here in Texas, back east, so that definitely got in the way of our normal plans and normal schedule. So it did take us a little bit longer because there were some weeks where we, planned to do things, but if we were running to the hospital or my husband was last minute plans to New York or something like that, then we weren't able to get as much school done as we had planned, and there were weeks where we didn't really do a whole lot except my older son would read or I'd put on a, audiobook or something like that. So we did have a lot to catch up on over the summer, but we were able to finish everything that that we needed to get done. Not necessarily everything that I wanted to get done. Some of the things we weren't able to get done weren't necessarily even because of all the stuff going on over the years. Some of it was just, for other reasons. Like my husband decided that his TV in his man cave wasn't big enough, as men sometimes do. So he ended up getting a bigger TV for himself, for his man cave. So the other TV that had already been in his room, which I thought was plenty big enough, he decided to put in the living room, which sounds nice and actually was nice. All the, fights of my little boys saying, he's standing in front of the TV for our smaller 9-year-old TV ended overnight. The other one was bigger. But since it was a newer TV, it didn't have a DVD player. So a lot of the stuff that we planned on doing that had DVDs, we weren't able to do. Our art was all on DVDs, and we did a couple of lessons before then, but sorry, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting a little tongue-tied. We weren't able to finish art. But the good thing about that is we will be able to use that again next year. We'll just do those couple of lessons again if we want to, and just do the other lessons throughout the school year. Also, our Latin had some DVDs on them that weren't working on my computer, so I wasn't able to put them on the TV either. Spanish, we were trying to just dabble in some languages, just give my kids somewhat of an understanding of how different languages work. We weren't trying to get any sort of real proficiency, but we were trying to just have them be exposed to different languages and kind of just get an idea that, words are different, structure of the sentences are different, and things like that. But the Spanish had DVDs and we weren't able to use those. Also, our sign language, of course, that was all on DVDs, so we weren't able to do any of that. My sons remember a little bit, but I wanted to spend last year kind of having them relearn some of the things that they'd forgotten and putting things together in sentences and stuff like that. But since we didn't have a DVD player, we weren't able to do that. And I think, what else? Something else was on DVD. I can't remember right now. But all of our DVD stuff we weren't able to do. But at the same time, with everything going on, even if we had a working DVD player, I don't know how much of those subjects we would have gotten done, just because we just were otherwise occupied, I guess you could say. So my older son, Tony, did lots of reading last year, which I'm glad he did because it reflected very well in his CAT scores. Last week he did the California Achievement Test. Here in Texas, we don't have to do any sort of testing, which I really like about Texas is I don't feel pressured to do it, but I did want to see where he was, just since most kids do start testing around 3rd grade. So I did have him take the test. He took the online one at home, and he did pretty well. His reading scores were, he missed like one question and was getting in the 99th percentile on some of the things. So definitely a lot of his reading did pay off, so I'm glad he did that. He did really well on his math, and it did show me where he needed to work on things, so that was a good thing to find out too. We know what we need to be working on next year. It was not a big surprise. I know he's not the strongest speller, which he definitely gets from me. So we did find out places that we needed to work on, but he didn't do, he was at or above grade level on everything, so that was good. Anyway, I think that kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent. We were talking about reading, yes. So he did read a lot last year. A lot of the books that I planned out for earlier this year, for earlier last year, we did get through. We were actually running out of books throughout the school year, and I had to buy a lot more that I wasn't able to show you since I didn't have time to do a whole lot of videos, but we did get through a lot of books. He read a lot of the history books himself, books like this, the kind of bigger, I guess, I don't know what you call these. They're like mature picture books. I don't even know what they're really called. Sorry for the glare. I think it's in my glasses too. Oh, sorry. So he did a lot of that stuff. The Who Was books, You Wouldn't Want to Be type of books. We got through a lot of those. He also read, let's see. Actually, let me show you what we did as audiobooks first. So we did finish these as audiobooks. This is not including the books that I showed you earlier in the school year. I think it was like 10, maybe 8 weeks into the school year. I did an update, and so he did those books that are there. Lots of books over there that for different subjects that he did too, that kind of supplemented the subjects. He read these on his own, whether out loud to me or silently to himself. And if he read anything silently, he had to then tell me about it, because I had read all of the books beforehand. So since I read all the books beforehand, he did learn pretty quickly that he had to pay attention, because this was one book he read in the middle of the school year, and he was not able to tell me too much about it. I guess he wasn't paying attention too much to the book, and I did make him read it again. It is pretty thick. It's not so much once you open it. There's not a whole lot on the pages, but he did learn pretty quickly with this book that, you know, pay attention to what you're reading, because mom has questions and you have to be able to answer them. So he did, he got through that book. He didn't do all of this, but he did do the first story. I think this is The Magician's Nephew, of the first Narnia book. And we'll be going through some of the other books this year. Maybe just one, but if we can get through more, that would be great too. But he did read the first book on his own. He also read through... I'm getting a book avalanche. I have books everywhere. We're always, you know, at risk of a book avalanche in this house. So he did get through some of these books here, some of the Blastback books, lots of Who Was books. I think there's some of these, what are these, Stepping Stone chapter books he went through also. And then we, of course, got through another pile I'm trying not to drop. Horrible Harry books he read to me. Some of the junior classics, you know, the books that you can get from, like, Target and stuff like that. He got through those, like these, I'm talking about these, what are these called? Junior classics for young readers. So he did do a couple of these also. But we did get through a lot of books. He had lots of reading. Yeah. Book avalanches everywhere. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of books that he did get through. And once I saw that, where are they? Okay. It did make me feel better once I kind of piled up all the books, which I figured I need to do at the end of every school year. Just pile up the books he has read throughout the school year, because it always makes me feel better to realize, you know, we get through a lot of books. He gets through a lot of information and has been able to tell me all about them. So the books that we didn't get through, much smaller pile. So once I saw that, you know, I always feel like we should have done this and we should have done this, but compared to what I just showed you, which was probably only half the books that I have around here that he was reading, then this is, you know, what we didn't get through. So we can, you know, do those another time. We did finish our science. Well, we actually didn't finish it. There's one unit we didn't do, but that was the insect unit, where you're supposed to get insects, a butterfly and ladybug. But it was, by the time we got to that unit, it was way too hot for them to ship them. And I know on the website it says, you know, if it's hot, they're not going to ship them. So we're probably going to just save that unit for early, once it starts cooling down around here, and they can ship them safely. We did not finish this here, word wisdom, the vocabulary. We both did not like this. It was very school at home, and I thought I would like it with some of the word roots and stuff that it had in here, but it just, neither one of us liked it. It just wasn't for us. And I don't know, it felt like public school, so I wasn't a big fan of it. And neither was he. So we just figured that we would do vocabulary. With all the books he's reading, he can always pick out words that we can look up there. There's plenty of words, new words that he comes across within his reading, within other subjects, so we'll just do vocabulary like that. But there is actually a lot of vocabulary in his writing and rhetoric book that we both enjoyed. He wasn't too big of a fan on the writing, but we did enjoy the rest of the book in here. I loved it so much that we will be continuing with this next year, and I do think this is a good foundation in writing, and also it brings up so many different pieces of literature that the kids get exposed to so many different things. We did do the well-ordered language, ended up switching to this for grammar after we did the, Grammar Island from Michael Clay Thompson, which I liked Grammar Island. My son wasn't too big of a fan of it, so we switched to this, and he liked that it was very straightforward, which it is, but the reason I didn't like it is this big honkin' teacher's manual, so this is pretty thick. There isn't a whole lot on the pages, but it's just a big intimidating thing for half of a school year. So we finished this, but we found something else that we like better for grammar that I think will suit us both a little bit better next year. So that's what he did. For my middle son, we spent most of the year looking for a good reading program for him. So while my older son was reading lots and lots of books, with him, when I found a reading program with my oldest son, it's pretty much the first one worked for him. With my middle son, we did have to shop around and find something that worked for him. We tried some of the things I already had on hand that I was hoping, save a little bit of money, but they did not work out too well for him. But I think also that was, I had just spent years using them with my older son, and I think I needed a break from them, and he just needed something different. So instead we switched for my middle son to Hooked on Phonics, and I did buy the first level, but we switched over to the first level in print, but we did switch over to the app, which I think he likes a lot better. This comes with a DVD, but like I said, DVD issues, so we weren't able to use the DVD, but I like the app because it has everything there. He can just turn it on and do it, and I can sit with him and he can do it there. It's the same type of thing, but there's extra games and things on there. And I think he's the type of kid that needs those extra little jingles and stuff like that to help him remember things. My older son, it was, here's a letter, here's a letter, here's a letter, put it together, and that is a word. My middle son needs just a little bit different of a method, and, every kid is different. So once we found a good program that kind of clicked with him, we tried a couple of other programs, and once we found something that clicked, I, paid for the subscription in order to keep up with this. So that's a lot of what we were doing last year. Was there something else I wanted to show? I have piles of books, so I'm not sure. There's probably something I'm missing that I wanted to show, but this video is getting kind of long anyway. So I do want to show soon in another video our curriculum for the upcoming school year, but I actually might wait a week or two after we use it because there were so many things that we changed last year, or things that we ended up dropping. Like I showed you the vocabulary we ended up dropping. We switched throughout with our grammar, so I'll probably wait a little bit of time just so that we can see what we're actually doing in the school year. Unless I get a little too excited, and I might do a video beforehand. But for now, thank you for checking this video out from Hidden Library Homeschool. Please like, comment, subscribe below. Bye.